Tonight, 2 more weeks of staying at home.
For business, it really it's like, come on, like we're trying, we're surviving, like we just need another chance.
No patios just yet. We'll have the details on the restrictions the province does hope to lift in early June. Plus,
if kids get 2 vaccines and they seem to be responsive to the circulating variants there, then I don't see why we can't start thinking about normalizing school.
with Ontario aiming to begin vaccinating young people within weeks, we're looking at why schools are still making plans for online learning this fall. And after nearly 100 years, Greyhound is ending its service in Canada. We look at the impact on passengers and employees. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. The writing's been on the wall, but now it's official. The Premier has extended the province's stay-at-home order by 2 weeks. He also didn't ease restrictions for any outdoor activities in the meantime, a move that's disappointing to many. Our Lorenda Redekop has reaction.
Make no mistake, we're not out of the woods yet.
Premier Doug Ford extended the stay-at-home order until at least June 2nd. Many were hoping outdoor restrictions would be eased. Golfers have been among the most vocal.
There's nothing wrong with golfing. The problem is the mobility. Then after golf, they go back, they have a few pops. That's the problem.
It's a little perplexing.
Dr. Nathan Stahl is part of the Science Advisory Table, which has recommended loosening restrictions on outdoor activities.
Take things outdoors, interact outdoors safely, still with distancing and masking, but that really blanket restrictions on outdoor activities probably cause more harm than good and don't align with the science.
Today, the socially distanced circles return to Trinity Bellwoods Park. Under current rules, they're only for members of the same household. But people are clearly going ahead with outdoor activities despite the stay-at-home order restrictions. So how do people feel about the extension?
It sucks being at home, like at least golf courses or I was trying to work at a golf course and it's not open.
Just sit through a couple more months and then, hopefully everything will be fine.
I like to be outside too, but we all have to be safe.
Ford also once again pointed to the federal government as a big part of the problem for not adding more restrictions at borders.
My riding is right over the airport, and all I hear is those planes just constantly coming in. And every time I look up, I think, how many more variants are coming in?
But Public Health Ontario's numbers show less than 2% of cases are connected to travel.
To blame the porous borders for the reason that the third wave got out of control doesn't align with the science.
But with more vaccinations, it is expected the situation could improve.
My goal is to have the most normal July and August possible. Obviously, that won't mean large sporting events or concerts.
The chief medical officer says he wants to see several days of cases well under 1,000 before lifting restrictions and lower hospitalizations. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
While the Premier says the province should be able to lift restrictions on outdoor recreation by June 2nd, patios, gyms, salons, and other small businesses will likely have to wait a bit longer. Ford's saying he will provide more details of a reopening plan in June. Our Dahlia Ashtree has been speaking with restaurant owner today. She joins us now in Roncesvalles. Now, Dahlia, how are they taking the news today?
Well, Kelda, many businesses are frustrated with today's announcement. This sports pub here in Roncesvalles has been navigating the shutdowns for the past 2 months by having curbside pickup, adjusting their menus. And with summer around the corner, that usually means that business is booming this time of year and they just can't afford another financial hit. Patio season is just around the corner and many people are itching to get back out.
Oh, I'd love patios to reopen. I'm in the beer business.
I really just feel for the businesses because I know that a lot of them are really struggling.
With the stay-at-home order extended for another 2 weeks, it's another financial hit for some businesses, like this sports bar on Roncesvalles.
On a really bad day, like maybe we do like $500, but with the patio on a bad day, we can do 75% more.
The Canadian Federation of Independent Business predicts 1 in 5 businesses will permanently close in Ontario before the end of the pandemic.
Already the average small business has inherited $170,000 in debt.
While many businesses have been shut down here along Roncesvalles with no clear sign yet from the province on when they will be allowed to reopen, one infectious disease expert I spoke to believes there is a safe way to do it.
Patio dining, if it's within the household, is fine, but there is some issues there with households mixing and that type of thing, and people sharing drinks, that type of thing. But I think you can use that kind of outdoor patio model for consumer retail. By June 2nd, you're talking about 60-65%. Like at that point, it starts becoming much more reasonable to say that people who decide to do it can do it.
Murray is really hoping she'll be able to welcome customers to the patio on June 2nd and not any later.
I really want the patios to open, and I want us to be able to kind of incorporate what we know in the past and what we've built so far and mesh it together.
Ford says the province should be able to lift restrictions for outdoor recreation by June 2nd, and there will be more information to come in the weeks and days following that. Now, as some of the business owners I spoke with, they said they already have experience with running their business safely and are hoping to be running their businesses back to normal and fully by the summer. Kelda?
Right. Thanks so much, Dahlia. That's our Dahlia Ashby reporting live for us tonight. With 2,759 new cases reported today, Ontario has passed another COVID-19 milestone. The province has now recorded more than 500,000 lab-confirmed COVID-19 cases. The 7-day average of daily cases fell today to 2,731. That is the lowest in about 5 weeks. There were 31 more deaths of people with COVID-19. Beginning May 31st, kids aged 12 to 17 will be eligible to book an appointment for a Pfizer shot. As COVID-19 case numbers continue on a downward trend across the province and more people get vaccinated, the question is, why are schools still in pandemic mode with a plan to continue online learning this fall? Our Farah Morali explains.
To open or not to open? It's the question even the Premier doesn't have an answer to.
On the one hand, we have some doctors saying they want to open the schools. On the other hand, we have the teachers' unions saying we can't do that right now.
Today, the province said because of a lack of consensus, school will continue to look a lot like this.
We're going to have some more discussions both with our public health units, with the Ministry of Education to determine when's the best time, the right time.
It all comes on a day when Ontario's test positivity rate is the lowest it's been in almost 6 weeks. At the end of the month, kids aged 12 to 17 will be able to book an appointment for a Pfizer jab. So is it time to start seriously considering a return to the classroom?
It depends on case rates. It depends on the variants.
Dr. Anna Banerjee says while it's important for kids' mental health, there are still many unknowns.
If kids get 2 vaccines and they seem to be responsive to the circulating variants there, then I don't see why we can't start thinking about normalizing school. But there's a lot of things between here and there that we don't know.
Navigating around this has been somewhat difficult, and it definitely doesn't help with whether or not we know if we're going back in person, if it's going to be hybrid.
The continued uncertainty is weighing heavy on some students.
In my graduating year, and for other students as well, I've had certain scenarios where sometimes teachers had to skip content because of the quadmester model, and we had to rush through some of the units and we didn't get to fully learn it.
The province's largest school board says it will continue the so-called quadmester system next year, where kids take 2 classes a semester over 4 semesters.
We have to make sure that if you're taking X number of classes, that students are able to be spaced out, again, the bottom line is to reduce that student-to-student contact. So with those directions from the ministry and what that will look in the TDSB, the quadmester model was really our only option.
The Ministry of Education says it's asking school boards to prepare for all scenarios. But for now, empty schoolyards will remain the new normal. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
Colette Kennedy joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Colette, gorgeous day. It's been really nice to finally see some spring-like temperatures this week.
Yeah, doesn't it really, Kelda? I mean, just to finally get temperatures back to seasonal. And that's what we've been seeing, and if anything, getting a little bit above. Okay, there is one thing, though. We do have to deal still with a few areas with that risk of frost. So a frost advisory tonight is in place through Grey Bruce, through Waterloo, Wellington, and Dufferin, Innisfil, through these regions. You still have that risk. So tender vegetation that you can protect, you want to be doing that, okay? But otherwise, look at this. That high pressure in place, the clearer skies that we are seeing into Friday as well. Sunshine, again, a few clouds perhaps developing into the afternoon, and I mean just a very few. So a really gorgeous day that is on tap again. Now, each night, kind of our overnight lows creep up a tiny bit. So for Toronto tonight, even with those clear skies, we're looking at 7 degrees for the low with the winds light out of the northwest. Slightly stronger, but still not too significant from the southwest tomorrow. And there you go. There you have it, up to 21 degrees for the high. Is this going to last? The big question, Kelda. I'll answer that coming up.
Thanks, Colette. A warning, some viewers may find this next story and video disturbing. A dramatic scene unfolded in Midtown Toronto early this morning. This is at the Roehampton Hotel near Yonge and Eglinton. Toronto Police Chief James Raymer says officers were called for a person in crisis, and when they arrived, a man was hanging out of an 8th floor window being held by on-site security. Raymer says police took over and held on to the man for 12 more minutes, pulling him back in after breaking windows. The man was then taken to hospital. Police will not confirm how this all started or how the man ended up outside the window in the first place. The Roehampton Hotel is one of the few city leased properties that are currently housing some of Toronto's homeless population. After being in operation for nearly a century, Greyhound Canada has announced they've reached the end of the line, permanently shutting down all service as of midnight tonight. Our Greg Ross has more on the decision.
Quite frankly, the news was devastating.
John Danino is the president of ATU Canada, the union that represents Greyhound Canada employees. He says throughout the pandemic, they have been negotiating with the company, looking for ways to save the 300 jobs that have now been lost after today's decision.
Over the last year, it's been constant negotiations where they asked for a reduction in wages, allowances for the pension, and ultimately just shut the door and slammed it in our faces this morning.
Greyhound has been in operation in Canada for decades. In 2018, the company stopped its operations in Western Canada, and Danino says cutting off the rest of the country will have a huge impact on transportation moving forward.
All we're going to have is a number of piecemeal components of transit that are going to try to infiltrate the market with no connectivity and no integrated system. This is devastating for Canadians right across this country.
The federal minister of transport released a statement on Twitter saying, "We will work with our provincial partners to explore options to address this gap and to provide Canadians with safe, reliable and affordable transportation across the country."
There's a good policy reason for this. I mean, mass transit buses serve communities and serve people that are often excluded.
This professor of geography and planning at the University of Toronto says the government needs to consider subsidizing intercity transportation similar to the way it's done at the municipal level.
Whether it's joint ownership model, whether it's a public ownership model, or whether it's a subsidy model. But some form, if we believe that there needs to be mass transit for intercity travel, then it's going to require some approach of some type of public money.
He says if they don't do something fast, this will have a huge impact, particularly on people living in remote communities, Indigenous communities, or people living in lower income situations who rely on the services that Greyhound was providing. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
A virtual rally was held tonight to celebrate the upcoming redevelopment of Ontario Place and the 50th anniversary of the original opening.
We'll retain the Cinesphere, the pods, and the William G. Davis Trail. And we're going to continue with some activations throughout the year.
As we experience this pandemic, that critical role that parks and public spaces play has been reaffirmed.
Ontario Place covers 155 acres of public land. Those who attended the rally discussed the future of this space, many emphasizing the importance of green space for the livability of a city. What will be done with Ontario Place remains unknown, but Minister MacLeod has hinted the province will share the plan with the public later this month.
It's another Eid that's being celebrated in lockdown, but the festivities are more creative than ever.
It's not difficult, but it's different.
I'm Jessica Ng, and I'll have that story for you coming up.
Welcome back. Muslims around the world, including here in the GTA, are marking the end of Ramadan tonight. This may be the second year the holy month has been observed under pandemic restrictions, but it's not putting a damper on festivities. Our Jessica Ng shows us how the coronavirus has forced some to get creative.
A Mississauga drive-through celebration saw nearly 10,000 visitors today. A team of 40 volunteers and staff, organized by ISNA Canada, handed out cotton candy and goodie bags, all in the name of Eid al-Fit, celebrating the end of Ramadan. 11-year-old Sarah Jalabi says for her, a highlight of Eid is wearing nice clothes and having video calls with relatives.
It means spending time with your family
and having fun.
Rania Lawendi, a national director for the Muslim Association of Canada, says communities have adapted well to limited in-person and virtual events during the second Eid in lockdown.
When you see everything that's going on around the world, we are very thankful. You know, I know that it's hard to be in a pandemic and it's hard to stay in your homes, but we, in this part of the world, we're a lot better off than most places.
Her organization has been streaming live prayer ceremonies from across the country.
It is hard to not pray like we normally do in the mosque, but you know, all of our centers have had the prayers. They're just limited to 10 each.
They're also showcasing Muslim artists and performers in an online Eid Fest, which she says complements how families are celebrating at home. This year, organizers of this East York vaccination clinic decided to tie their Eid festivities into their goal of vaccinating as many people as possible in this hotspot. They say it's a good way to reach the large Muslim community that lives here.
Kids can come and get their toys or get sweets and enjoy the Eid, but also the parents will get the vaccine. So it's really two good things that will happen simultaneously.
And the idea is working.
We celebrated Eid at home, from the distance. After celebrating Eid, we came to get vaccinated.
As for what they're hoping for next year,
we're hoping this will be the last, and I hope this will be the last. And I think we are hoping that more people will get vaccinated.
As Muslims, we believe that, you know, everything happens for a reason, and anything we go through, we do get rewarded for that.
Jessica Ng, CBC News, Toronto.
You're looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline. A little bit cloudy this evening, becoming more clear overnight, and temperatures, they are getting warmer. Currently, it's 16 degrees downtown. Let's go back to Colette now with a look at your extended forecast. And Colette, we reach close to 20 degrees today. I'm hoping that trend continues.
Yeah, even if we have to round it up a little bit, we get to 20 degrees and we're going to take it. And yeah, this trend is going to continue with our temperatures being seasonal or actually above in terms of what we're seeing, and only a few spots where we're going to see precipitation. So that becomes pretty important here because we're going to start to need to think about watering the gardens and the grass and the like. But there's a look at your daytime highs from today, and precipitation outlook. Boy, it's a little bit tricky here. Hard to come by. For Friday, certainly, just a few clouds into the afternoon. Now, things change a little bit into Saturday. I want you to be aware of that. Into the afternoon hours, few more clouds developing because of the daytime heating and some of the sun that we'll be getting. There will be just the odd shower popping up, and I mean very widely scattered. So this is nothing too significant. It's certainly not going to ruin any outdoor plans that we do have these days, but just the stray shower is certainly possible. Then into Sunday, things look good again. We'll see into early next week another system coming through that could start to bring a few showers back at us, but there's going to be plenty of sunshine through these days, and clear night tonight for southwestern Ontario with lows ranging from 3-5 degrees for you there into Windsor. Tomorrow afternoon, just a little bit warmer than today. Not that today wasn't pleasant with high teens, but taking you into the 20s, so 21 degrees, 22 for London. Sarnia, you should hit that 22 as well. And for the GTA, this is what we're looking at. In fact, all around the Golden Horseshoe, St. Catharines, 3 degrees, a little cooler there. 7 for Toronto and Mississauga, and you see that 5 into Markham, and for Oshawa and 4 for Hamilton there. And there you go, tomorrow afternoon, going to pick it up a little bit. You have to watch out for those southwesterly winds there for St. Catharines, because when they're coming from the north, you get it off Lake Ontario. When they're coming from the southwest, off of Lake Erie. So that may just take your temperature down a degree or two, especially the closer to the lake that you are anywhere. So this is what we're looking at into the long range. 20 for Saturday with that slight chance for an afternoon shower popping up. 19 into Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud on that day. Then that next disturbance comes through. So I'm putting in at least a chance for some showers late into Monday and more cloud cover into Tuesday. But notice what's going on with those temperatures. In fact, it looks like they may be popping up. One of the models wanted to actually bring them down mid next week, but I think there'll be a bump up as that next system moves through, in fact, Gelda.
Thanks, Colette.
This weather update is brought to you by Train. For a limited time, take advantage of 36 equal payments and 0% financing. It's hard to stop a train.
Well, I was bored at home a lot, so I wanted to do something creative.
He's the rock star of the beaches. The story behind this ever-growing rock snake next. Finally tonight, a 7-year-old boy in the beaches is bringing joy to his neighborhood. He started a rock snake by the boardwalk, and thanks to contributions from strangers, it just keeps growing.
How many rocks did you start with?
Well, I started with 4.
And how many do you think you have now?
Over 300 feet.
What made you want to start this?
Well, I was bored at home a lot, so I wanted to do something creative.
We came to the beach, painted some rocks, and decided to add them along the boardwalk in a row. And then other people started adding to it, and then we put up a sign, and it took off from there. He love seeing how much it grows. I read his Instagram messages to him, and he loves all the positive responses by the community when people are telling him that it made them smile, it makes them happy, and then they're making plans to come down and add to it. So it's all very positive and happy.
I wanted to go like past the world.
How long is that?
That's like 1 million feet. Like it's right off the world.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.